Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm recording on August 3rd. And in this video, we're going to go over the conflict in Israel, Hezbollah, Iran, how the United States might get involved. I'm going to do some other videos about Kamala Harris and also artificial intelligence in the development of bioweapons. So, I'm going to do a lot of videos today. So in this video, we're going to start with Lindsey Graham saying, we're on the verge of, some major conflict. Before we start, please make sure you subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. I also have Patreon, if you'd like to be a paid member on my Patreon channel to help support my work. Most of my videos, thousands of my videos, are for free. So it's through individuals that are donating and subscribing to Patreon that helps to support the channel. In addition, if you'd like to donate, you can donate on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video and all my videos. It'll take you to that website, that link, and you can donate on my homepage. You can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you for your continued support. So let's begin with what Lindsey Graham was saying.
Ain't just that toilet paper is strong and
I'm glad to take questions.
what do you make of the concerns that we've been seeing today from hostage families that because Israel took out their top negotiator, this now sets them back and this hostage will never get
Real concern. I understand it, but also understand what Israel is trying to do. They're trying to stop further attacks against the Jewish state. And I do believe the best way to get the hostages released is make the cost of doing business so high for Iran that will change course. I think that's the tactic Israel has taken. They have vowed to hold those responsible for October 7th, anytime, anywhere, and they're making good on that promise. I still believe it's possible to have a ceasefire and to have the hostages released, but the actions by Israel today or yesterday,
You know what is really amazing, and this was more prevalent on the Democrat side, especially with Biden, but you're seeing it with Harris, you're seeing it with Chuck Schumer, you're seeing it with Nancy Pelosi, and now you're seeing it with some of the Republican senators, such as Lindsey Graham. It seems as though that there are talking points that they have to read from. It's as if someone or a group of people are telling our politicians what to say. And it just seems obvious. Now, the question is why? Is it that they want to have a cohesive message to make sure that there's no accidental crossfire between policy? Maybe. Is it that someone has threatened them that if you don't say certain things, that we're going to expose, dirt on these individuals? Maybe. Is it that there's a code in the message, and it's important the way they say it, so they know what the code breaker would know what to look for or what that message is intended for. For example, perhaps, I don't have proof on this, but perhaps there's a message that is read that seems to be answering a question from the reporter. The reporter doesn't know. They're asking a question. You know that they're going to ask this kind of question, so you write an answer, and every other word or every third word or the first word of every sentence is telling the receiver of this message what to do. Maybe it's involved in trading. Maybe it's involved in operations. to either start or to stop. Maybe it's a signal to other government heads, to coordinate a certain policy with us. I just find this so odd that it's becoming so prevalent and obvious that they're doing this, that they're reading off of some sort of predetermined statement off of some sort of reporter's question. Now, it happened a lot with the secretary of the press, the press secretary, in the in the Biden administration. Biden was reading off of cards that was well known, and he even said he was. It's obvious that Kamala is doing something very similar. That if she's off script, she tanks. So her issue is competence. The issue with Biden was probably competence, because they were afraid that he would go off off the tracks. But Lindsey Graham is a well-seasoned, articulate person in the Senate. He doesn't need talking points to literally read off. You're seeing this also in the military, by Lloyd Austin, Blinken, and Kirby. They do it too. What is going on? That's a big, it's just like, what is it? Is it incompetence and they need to, they're just getting dumb because of smartphones? Smartphones are making everyone dumb. Is that it? Is it that they're telling us they have a coded message within the statement? Is it that they're worried about crossfire with policy and they just want to be on the same page? Is it all the above? I don't know, but it's odd because I don't remember other years it was like this. I mean, the Trump administration was pretty off the cuff. I mean, it was, but it was okay because it looked real. Now it's looking like it's all orchestrated.
A policy that served the Jewish state well.
He's reading it. He's reading it. Why?
Jeff Bradley, Ep20. I just want to ask, just over a week ago, Secretary Blinken said that Iran is about 1 or 2 weeks away from developing materials to develop a nuclear weapon. Would that be enough under this legislation to ask the U.S. military to?
What I'm trying to do with the authorization to use military force legislation is to tell the president that Congress is with you if you find conditions exist that there's a imminent breakout, that there is a real threat that Iran would acquire not only a nuclear capability, but the means to deliver it. So Secretary Blinken is speaking truth here. There's an unclassified report, and there's a classified portion regarding Iran's activity in terms.
I'll replay this, but what it could be is that they're afraid to accidentally say something that's classified. That might be, especially with him. And that if they have some sort of skeleton of what to say, it makes sure that they're not, it moves them away from the potentiality of saying something that's classified. Maybe that's it, but there's just so, it just feels orchestrated. It's very strange. Something's up. I don't remember it being this bad 4 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. It just seems something's odd. Something's
terrorism, but also their nuclear program. What I read really bothered me, and that's why I'm here today. I believe that we're on the verge of a major conflict over the Iran nuclear program, where Israel will be forced to act in a decisive manner sooner rather than later. And the absence of red lines by the United States has led to aggression by Iran on the nuclear front, and it's time to reset.
piggybacking on that, how close do you like to that breakout from around?
Close enough for me to be saying what I'm saying.
Today, I'm asking about the Saudi deal, and we've been very about that. What do you think this strike by Israel does to that?
I think Saudi considers Hamas the problem, not the solution. I don't think there are any tears in Riyadh right now over the death of any Hamas leader. Hezbollah's been a disruptive force. The Houthis have been disruptive. I think, truth be known, in Saudi Arabia, they probably agree with me that all of these organizations have one thing in common: sponsorship by the Iranians. So the ability of the Saudis to normalize with Israel, I think, requires the destruction of Hamas. So they cannot come back again, because if they're allowed to come back again, it will be hard to transform the West Bank and Gaza. I think the best thing that can happen to the Palestinian people is the destruction and marginalization of Hamas, so that others can come in and help the Palestinian people build a community not based on terrorism. So I don't think it deters the deal. In a way, I think it reinforces the need for the deal.
Senator,
Yeah, I'll be right back with you. Don't go away. I don't know. I would have hoped that there would be unanimity that Iran and Hezbollah are one and the same. That we would be understanding in America that if Israel is attacked in a significant way by Hezbollah, that they would be right to go after the Iranians. The ability to generate revenue for the terrorist state Iran goes back to their oil production. I've been arguing this for over a year. They will continue to be disruptive until the price is too high. And I think one thing that will change their calculation is that they believe that Israel, Western powers, the United States, would in fact put their oil production in jeopardy. So I am urging Israel to make sure that when you respond to Hezbollah, you go to the source of the problem, which is Iran. Now, I'm hoping my colleagues will see the need for this.
I agree with I agree with the senator here. You have to get to the root cause. If you don't get to the root cause, you're just kicking the can down the road, and that has been the foreign policy of the United States and most of the Western alliances for the last 40 or 50 years. Okay, what I want to do is now go to ABC. They're just briefly talking about Biden administration is moving additional military assets into the region.
Overseas now to the Middle East.
Before we do that, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support my work and help to improve your health. Follow my protocol on how to slow down the aging process, to get healthy, to boost up your immune system. Some of the products that I offer that will help with your health and improve, your existence is structural nanosilver products that I have. I have structural nanosilver soaps. I have different varieties, but this one that I have on the screen here is charcoal tea tree. It's a high quality soap. Get a few bars of this for your household. I have different versions of these structural nanosilver soaps. Help to neutralize pathogens. It's a very high quality soap. It's a lot better than Dove. It's really important to take a structural nanosilver liquid. I have 3 different types. I have Max 14, Max 35, and then I have the structural nanosilver with ppm of 30. They're at different price points, but basically what you do is you take a teaspoon of this a day. It's a liquid. You swish it in your mouth, you gargle with it, and you swallow it. What that does is it neutralizes pathogens, improves your oral hygiene, and improves the mucosal barrier that protects your epithelium, the lining, preventing pathogens from breaking through. So this is how you can neutralize pathogens, improve your mucosal barrier, and improve your oral hygiene. So take a teaspoon of a day. If you're not feeling well, take a tablespoon or 2 a day. I have it in 30 ppm, which is this one. I have it also in a 14 ppm and a 35 ppm, with the max 35 and the max 14. So go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the structural nano silver liquids. If you haven't already, purchase a applicator set. In the applicator set that I have on my store, it has a spritzer, a dropper, and a nasal spray. You just put a little bit of that liquid into these bottles, and you can carry it around in your bag. So you can spray surfaces, it'll neutralize pathogens that way. You can spray it on the back of your throat. The dropper, you can put it in your mouth, and in the for the nasal spray, you can nasal spray your nostrils with the structural nano silver liquid. This is a great set, and it allows you to carry structural nano silver liquid with you no matter where you go. Lastly, I have a structural nano silver gel. I have it in a tube form. I also have it in a dispenser that you can carry in your bag. Both products are used the same way. They neutralize pathogens on the surface of your skin. So you just put it on your skin, it'll stay active for 5 hours. You can put it around your mouth, your nose, your ears, around your eyes, lightly coat your nostrils, and it'll stay active for 5 hours, neutralizing pathogens. In addition, if you put it on a cut, it'll help to heal the cut because it's keeping the cut clean. Abrasions, it'll help to heal the abrasions, help to heal minor burns. In addition, you can put this on your skin at night and then exfoliate it in the morning when you wake up, and you'll notice that your skin is clearer and tighter, especially on the face. So you can use this as a daily skincare product. In addition, before you go to bed, you should lightly coat your nostrils. And what it will do is one, prevent pathogens. It will neutralize these pathogens, but not just that. You'll notice that you'll be able to breathe better at night, especially if you snore. Just lightly coat the nostrils, and you'll have a little bit easier breathing. So this is a great way. This is a great product, multi-purpose product. I believe in multi-purpose products. So you use these products the same way. So go to the store and get the structural nano silver gels that I have. That's the-studio-reykjavik.com. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video.
High alert as Iran vows revenge for the assassination of a top Hamas leader in Tehran. The Biden administration promising additional military assets to help defend Israel, while the president is also trying to de-escalate tensions in the region. ABC's Matt Rivers in Tel Aviv tonight.
Tonight, the Biden administration bracing for a potential escalation in the Middle East. The Pentagon announcing it will deploy additional U.S. cruisers, destroyers, and fighter jets to protect Israel.
The secretary will be directing multiple forthcoming force posture moves to bolster force protection.
It comes as Iran and its allies promise to retaliate following the assassination of top Hamas political official Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. In April, Iran coordinated an unprecedented direct attack against Israel in response to a deadly strike on the Iranian consulate in Syria. The U.S. and its allies helping intercept nearly all of the more than 300 missiles and drones targeting Israel. Amid concerns of another Iranian retaliation, today Haniyeh's funeral prayers taking place in Doha. Sources say Haniyeh was killed by an explosive smuggled into his room at an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps guest house. The device stashed inside roughly 2 months ago as part of an Israeli plot, as first reported by the New York Times.
You know, what is interesting is that now, of course, early reports could be wrong, but the early reports were saying a drone was flown into a window. Then there were some reports that it was a missile strike. So, but I'm sure the missile strike obviously was a false report. But was it a drone that flew in through the window, or was it actually a explosive device that was put there months ago? I don't know what the real story is.
The assassination threatening to upend ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas. President Biden saying he fears the violence could escalate.
The chance for a ceasefire ruined after the assassination of the
It's not helpful.
And with the Pentagon not providing any specific timelines for when those additional military assets will be put in place. Meanwhile, across Israel tonight, authorities urging people to stay close to their safe rooms and have a couple days provisions on hand in case of power outages.
Matt Rivers, thank you.
I think Israel's worried that Tel Aviv is going to get hit. All right, I want to go to DW because 11 minutes ago, there was a video.
Say you're an independent business, like a photographer, or a marketing consultant, or designer, or one of thousands of professions that sell.
Okay, this
An Israeli
video,
airstrike on a view.
this video is about the airstrike on a vehicle in the West Bank. Kills Hamas commander. So Israel's definitely ramping up activity.
In the occupied West Bank has killed a Hamas commander. That's according to a media outlet linked to the group, which is classified as a terrorist organization by many countries. The Israeli military has confirmed the attack, saying it targeted a militant cell around the city of Tulkarm. It's the latest in a series of strikes against Hamas's leadership, raising concerns about a potential spillover of the war in Gaza. It comes a day after the group's leader, Ismail Haniyeh, was buried in the capital of Qatari, Doha, with thousands attending the funeral service. He was assassinated in an alleged Israeli attack in Tehran on Wednesday. Hamas and Iran have vowed to retaliate. The U.S. says it will send additional fighter jets and warships to the region. And we're joined now by DW correspondent Konstantin Eggert in Jerusalem. Konstantin, what more can you
we'll
tell
go
us?
to Konstantin after this little tidbit. October 7th, 2023 was when Israel was attacked by Hamas. All right. If you take 322 days from that, you end up at August 24th, 2024. I think that something is for two reasons. 322 is an important number for certain people. All right, certain societies, Skull and Bones, religious people. 322 is an important number. With that said, there is an elevated risk of something happening in the region, maybe outside of the region, maybe in the United States, but I think in the region where that something big is going to happen on August 24th of this month, of this year. Okay. Because of this 322 from October 7th, the number of days. Now, another thing that is coinciding with that is this idea. There's two ideas here. One, you haven't heard from me on this, and the other you have heard. The one that you haven't heard from me is that the Jewish calendar its year is 5,784. The 80th year, Kabbalistically, is a tumultuous decade. All right, as you're approaching this transition period into 6,000. All right, so once the year 6,000 happens, then a lot of things are supposed to get booted up. All right, but certain things can happen earlier if certain people, if the world becomes more peaceful, or more people become spiritual and have better ethics and all this stuff. But unfortunately, the last couple decades, that has not happened. People haven't become more spiritual, and society is devolving, and there is this loss of God, country, and family that I've been talking about lately. So the 5,780 decade, the 80s decade, but within the Jewish calendar, is happening right now. And right now it's 5,784. So we've had already 4 years of tumultuous activity. Now that coincides with 2020. All right. This is another important change. Agenda 20, 2020, Agenda 2030. People have heard these things. There is a period of time, 2020 to 2030, that there's going to be a lot of activity and there's going to be a lot of disruption. All right. And I've been explaining that this means potentially world war. This potentially means problems with artificial intelligence and social scoring. This also means biological warfare, other unconventional warfare means, chemical, maybe even radiological. So this period of time that we're in right now, with the English calendar of 2020 to 2030 coincides with the Kabbalistic prediction of tumultuous activity between 5,780 to 5,790. So we are, we're 4 years into this. There's 6 more years to go, plus a few months, plus 6 months. So that's something that you haven't heard from me. What you have heard from me is that we are now in the month of Esau. Remember I said that there are 6 months of power for Jacob and there's 6 months of power for Esau. And that it ebbs and flows, and that there is a pinnacle point within that cycle. 3 months into the cycle is the peak, but it's all relative power. So in July, the relative power was higher for Jacob than Esau. April was at its peak for Jacob. Now we have now gone into August, and we have August, September, October. October is a peak for Esau and the max weakness of Jacob. And then November, October, November, December, all right, is relatively it's declining for Esau, but it's still relatively higher than Jacob. Then January comes of 2025, and then this cycle is reversed, and Jacob is now gaining strength and Esau is losing strength. So, and Jacob is relatively stronger till it's peaking in April. So it's not exactly the end of the month because it's based on Hebrew calendar and it's based on the month cycle that's lunar, not solar. So there's a little bit of a little bit earlier, a little bit later within, depending on the year and how these dates and strengths rise up. But in general, that's how it works. All right. January, February, March, April, May, June. Right. But it's like the tail end of January. So it's like part of July. So that was the weakening, that was that area is the strength of Jacob. Now what we have is August is strengthening for Esau. September, October is a strong month for Esau. And a lot of bad things happen in October if you pay attention, or even in September, as Esau is gaining strength and Jacob is losing relative strength. So October, November, December, January, and then parts of January near the tail end, it switches back to Jacob, and Esau is losing strength. So you got February, March, April. So, but there's a little bit of a play of a couple weeks, plus or minus. So this is the reason why it doesn't fully align with the English calendar. But the soul roots are changing now. We're at a point where Jacob is lost strength and Esau is gaining strength. And this is the reason why I was saying in April that Israel should have made their military moves and not have been held back by the United States when it came with striking Iran or even Hezbollah. The moment to hit was in April because of these soul roots going up and down, right? So April's a really strong month for Jacob. October is a very strong month for Esau. And now we have lost the advantage, right? Jacob has lost the advantage, and now Esau is gaining the advantage from the soul root perspective. And now you're hearing this ramp up in October, September. You know, I think something big is going to happen. Now, if you use the 322 date from October 7th, that is August 24th. If you use the peak time period for the soul root of Esau, it's around October, maybe even the tail end of September. I have been saying for a while now that I am concerned with the date September 24th, 2024. I don't know why. I have this sense that it's tied to the UN. I see the color blue. I see it seems to be kind of a radiological aspect to it, nuclear aspect to it. It's definitely tied to something with New York and the UN and the Middle East. Now, what that means, I don't know. But these dates or periods are really danger zone for us. All right, as human beings and as of Americans. All right. August 24th, 2024, September 24th, 2024. And this very strong soul root for Esau in October. Now, what that all means, I don't know. But I'm just saying there's something up, and then so you got to look at the metadata. You got to look at all these data points to see what's aligning with what I just said. Now, I have explained why. I'm not just coming up with these dates. I've explained why these dates are of significance and why there are higher probabilities of it happening. Okay. August 24th is the 322 date from October 7th. September 24th is the beginnings of this zenith point for the cycle for Esau. Carries on into October. And there's this kind of like psychic feeling or just something's bothering me that is tied to blue, the UN, New York, the Middle East, and radiological. I don't know what that means, but I just sense it. Now that's intuitive. I can't give you like, okay, go to this reference. But the other concepts that I said about soul root and the 322, those are, you can understand on why I'm coming up with those dates. So pay attention, something big is coming. Now, what that means, I don't know. Maybe it's just world peace. Hopefully it is. But there just seems to be a lot of things happening in Ukraine, with Russia, with Iran, with Israel, with Lebanon, with the Palestinians, with China. Who's running the store at the White House right now? There seems to be a concern of who's actually the president. Who is the president? Is it Biden? Well, officially it is, but is he really making decisions? If someone's making decisions, who is it? Who's writing the things that he's saying on the cards? Same thing for Blinken and Kirby and Harris, even for Lindsey Graham, Senator Graham. Who's making the decisions, or who is corralling the options for the decision maker? We don't know. That's scary. That's scary. JFK said, and he warned this right after the Cuban Missile Crisis, that it is so easy for the military to nullify the presidency. Is that what we're seeing? The military nullifying the presidency? Or some sort of lobbying group that has control of the military nullifying the presidency? Something is up. Something is up. So before I continue on with, I think his name was Dimitri, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support my work. Where else are you getting kind of this unique perspective of these world events and the accuracy of of what I've been saying? All right, especially the warnings of bioweapons and unconventional warfare. Blueberry structural nanosilver drops, really important to help mitigate allergies and the cold season. So what it does is it'll neutralize pathogens and create those secretions to help protect that mucosal barrier that I was mentioning earlier. So you should have a few bags of these drops. It's in 100 count. The moment you feel an irritation, either because of allergies or because of the cold season, start taking the lozenges and the drops right away. It'll help to neutralize the pathogen and secrete and protect that barrier so it doesn't get worse. You want to do that right away, right away. Honey and lemon drops in the 100 count, and I also have elderberry and zinc in a 21 count. So get a couple bags for your household to be ready for the cold season. Cold season starts in September, so that's 1 month away. So it's time to start getting ready for it. And it's important to boost up your immune system, especially post 2020, where people have immune systems that are not functioning as well. There's a prevalence of cancers now. Cancer incidences are going up since 2020. All right, before 2020, they were flattening out year over year. New cases of cancer were flattening. Now there's been a big uptick. It's really important to boost up your immune system. There are many different products that I have on my store that boost up your immune system. And one of the great products that you should be taking every day is lignans. Lignans is a powder. You just mix it with your food or water. Take it every day, and it'll help to boost up your immune system. It's for males and females. It'll also help with hormonal health. Our endocrine system has been disrupted because of our lifestyle and stress and the foods that we eat and the water we drink. You want to mitigate that by filtering your water. Don't eat processed foods, improve your food supply, and also do supplementation that'll help to boost up your immune system and reduce endocrine disruption. When you do that, your immune system is more powerful. When your immune system is more powerful, you don't get sick as often, and you can fight cancers. So go to my store and get the lignins so you can boost up your immune system and slow down that aging process, increase your longevity and your vitality.
About the Israeli army operation in Tutkan.
Well, the Israeli officials are saying that it seems like it's a veritable battle that was going on in Tulkarm today. The Israeli army confirmed that it had to strike Hamas fighters again with another drone strike. They did confirm that they eliminated 5 people in this first drone strike. They were in a car, and they said that the local commander of Izzeddin Qassam brigades, which is essentially a military wing of Hamas, was eliminated in this strike. It seems like other fighters may have been killed in the battle with the Israelis. So yes, Tulkarm today was definitely a flashpoint, but to add to that, the Israeli army and Israeli security forces said that they struck a car, struck a Hezbollah commander in the south of Lebanon today. So it's in a completely different area, in different countries. So it was a very, very unquiet day today in Israel.
Well, with the war still raging in Gaza, daily clashes in the West Bank, a bona fide northern front along the Israel-Lebanon border, which you're just now referring to, and a threat of retaliation from Iran and its proxies, are we seeing a shift in Israeli strategy?
Well, I would say that it's not yet a front in the north, although, of course, the situation becomes more and more tense there on the Lebanese border. As for this strategy, I do think that the Israeli government, the Israeli security establishment, the army establishment always consider the possibility of a war on 2 fronts. So I do not think it's anything spectacularly new. But yes, I think the cumulative effect of these many clashes produces this feeling that the situation is indeed very, very hot. And yes, you feel it here in Israel, although I looked out the window today, it seems like very quiet in Jerusalem. But at the same time, Michael, news keep coming that more and more airlines, for example, are canceling flights to Israel and to neighboring Lebanon. So indeed, tension is growing.
Konstantin, just quickly, according to Israeli media reports, a high-level Israeli delegation has arrived in Cairo for truce talks. Ismail Haniyeh, of course, was the chief Hamas negotiator before he was assassinated. Where does this leave talks and the hopes of Israeli hostages and their families?
Michael, indeed, if these reports are true, then both main security chiefs of domestic security and foreign intelligence of Israel are in Egypt for talks with the Egyptian security establishment. I would say it's still early to say that it's some kind of movement with regard to Hamas, but definitely Egypt was always very instrumental in everything that concerned Gaza. So it is an interesting sign, bear in mind the fact, as you rightly said, that Haniyeh was killed just 2-3 days ago. It is an interesting development if we believe these reports. They should be confirmed further, I think.
DW correspondent Konstantin Eggert in Jerusalem. Thanks to you, sir.
Let's get more from DW's Beirut bureau chief, Mohammed Shraita. Mohammed, good to see you. Now that we are a few days after the death of Haniyeh and the prominent Hezbollah commander Fouad Shukr in Lebanon, perhaps you can give us an assessment of, at this stage, what seems like the most likely response we could see from Hezbollah.
Your company's workflow could be as smooth as this.
Well, to understand the overall situation, we have to see this from Hezbollah's perspective. This attack on Beirut suburbs early this week is, according to Hezbollah, an Israeli offensive on Lebanon and not a retaliation whatsoever, since Hezbollah is denying any responsibility for last week's attack on Majd al-Shams in the occupied Golan. And this is a very important detail because this determines the nature of Hezbollah's response on the attack on its stronghold in Beirut. Hezbollah has been clearly saying that the retaliation is inevitable on the basis of that this is an offensive on Lebanon, that this was carried out in a civilian residential complex. It caused the death of innocent civilians, and it targeted a senior Hezbollah military figure. And therefore, we have to carefully read into Nasrallah's speech in that sense, especially in the event of the killing of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Hezbollah said that the region entered a new phase of escalation, and I would say that this indicates that we are far beyond just a supporting front, but less than an all-out war. But in such moments of high tension, it would be really ridiculous to rule out an all-out war.
So what kind of diplomatic efforts have we seen to try to prevent this from becoming a much wider war in the region?
Well, you know, we've been following on the very active and intense political and diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation, to pressure Hezbollah to exercise restraint and avoid a big retaliation. But really, this sounds far-fetched. The heavily armed group have rejected all calls and actively been rejecting all calls to reach a deal that would stop the confrontation with Israel based on the UN resolution 1701, which stopped the war between Lebanon and Israel in 2006. Hezbollah had been constantly clear about that it would only be interested in stopping the fire and settling for negotiations once a ceasefire in Gaza is enacted.
Thank you so much. As always, that is DW's Beirut Bureau Chief Mohammed Shreta. Well, Germany says it is also planning for a possible escalation in the Middle East. Berlin is among Israel's staunchest allies, and the government has repeatedly stated that Israel has a right to self-defense. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius has ruled out deploying German troops to the region, but he told DW the government is watching the situation closely.
Well, we are assessing the situation every day or every half day together with the foreign minister and the chancellery, and we are preparing for what might coming ahead, like evacuation or whatever else. But at the moment, we are only in the phase of preparations, not in acting.
Well, my understanding is in Lebanon that U.S. citizens, it's been put on a level 4 alert, I think it is, where they want people to leave. And a level 3 is not to fly into the region. So, you know, this is going to get worse, not better, that's for sure. So let's go to Fox News Business, what they have stated here.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full business functionality. And
I do want to go right now to Dan Hoffman, the former CIA station chief in Moscow, Fox News contributor as well. You know, Dan, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at, Russia celebrating the return of hostages it had abroad, some of them not very nice fellows, and how he's sitting pretty. Then I see what's happening in Israel with an expanding war that you were on top of before most people. And you would think that's the environment for global turbulence, might still be, but are you surprised you don't see it reflected in markets you normally would, like oil?
You know, I'm not so sure that the oil market has been significantly impacted right now, at least, by the conflict in the Middle East. There's an impending conflict, something that could be quite worse, that's out there on the near horizon, because there are no more red lines in the Middle East, and both sides, all the sides, are using munitions of increasingly sophisticated violence, and it runs the risk of a miscalculation. Israel took out 3 key leaders, 2 leaders of Hamas and 1 from Hezbollah, and they're seeking to restore deterrence, but it risks creating a cycle of escalation. Russia, of course, is exporting their oil, but it reduced prices to India and to China. But I would just say, Neil, the world is right now, I would argue, facing more critical threats, we are in the United States, to our national security than ever before. And it might not be reflected in the markets today, but it could be in the coming days and weeks.
You know, the irony, and you and I have discussed this before, is the market by and large have ignored all these scary developments dating back to the October 7th attacks themselves. And I'm always amazed by that because just, not that I would say it would be another Arab-Israeli 1973 war, but it could have been, and it still could be, to your point. And yet it's not reflected in that. I always wonder whether we, as a collective planet, merrily go our own way and ignore what could be unraveling out there.
Maybe we're just eternal optimists. Look,
it's called cognitive dissonance.
Hezbollah, Iran, Israel, the United States, we've all said that we don't want a wider war. But let's remember that we're facing a major war in Europe for the first time since the Second World War. And that has had significant implications for the global economy. And yet, we're dealing with the fact that the Houthis have disrupted trade in the Red Sea and caused insurance rates to grow up quite significantly. But the global economy is absorbing all of those mini shocks. I wonder whether the big shock is out there on the horizon.
All right, we'll watch closely. Thank you very much, Dan Hoffman.
Okay, so now
With the YouTube music, you can start.
what I want to do is go to Fox Live, or Live Now Fox. But before we do that, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and improve your gut biome by getting a very strong and high quality probiotic. I have this probiotic in powder form, and I also have another probiotic that is in a veggie cap form. So I take the powder. It's easy to mix with my food. I mix it with hummus in the afternoon. But it's important to take a probiotic every day. Why? Because having a good probiotic will allow you to have better metabolism and energy absorption and better communication with your gut and your liver and your gut and your brain. Good gut biome has shown that you'll have better metabolism and better processes, better energy absorption. You're not going to be as fatigued as much. You're going to have less chances of having problems with your lower GI tract. You know, people that have poor gut health have a tendency to have irritation, more inflammation. So by having a good gut biome, you're going to be bringing down that inflammation. You're going to be bringing down that chronic fatigue. And you're going to also improve your mood. You know, a lot of people don't realize that good gut health also improves mental health. So please go to my store and get the probiotic either in the powdered form or the veggie cap form. All right. It's really important to take this every day. And good gut health improves the skin, improves the eyes, improves a lot of other processes that you would think that they weren't connected, but they are. Health, for many people, start with the gut. So it's really important to filter your water, stay away from processed foods, eat a balanced diet, don't eat too much, you know, have some calorie restriction and proper supplementation, and doing a probiotic is really important, really important for you. So go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the probiotic. I also have a multivitamin, easy to digest. So you should be taking this every day. You need a multivitamin because the minerals and the vitamins that are in this are cofactors for other enzymes in your cells, so they will perform properly and do their function. So you'll have better cellular processes and metabolism. So it's really important to be taking this multivitamin every day. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the multivitamin. I partnered up with Rainbow Herbals, and we've created these deodorant bars made from essential oils from the Himalayas. Extremely high quality. It has no aluminum, has no baking soda, and this is a dual purpose bar. You use it as a deodorant, but as you're using this every day, you're slowly detoxifying your body. You can get it in peppermint, lavender, and tea tree, and you can get it in citrus. It has no aluminum, and no baking soda. It's made from essential oils from the Himalayas. It's for males and females. It's a very high quality deodorant bar. So please go to the store and get a couple bars for your household. We also developed an even better bar, which is a multi-purpose skincare bar. What this bar is for is you can apply it on your skin every day, and you'll notice after just a few days that your skin is smoother and softer. It has a little bit of a glow to it. You can apply it on your body or just on your face. It's up to you. You know, some people use it every day. Some people use it every third day, you know, as a skincare product. You can apply it on cuts, abrasions, minor burns, and it'll help to heal. It'll reduce the itching from a bug bite, like a mosquito bite. It'll also reduce the pain from a sore muscle. So if you have a sore muscle, just rub it on that muscle and that the pain is alleviated or eliminated. And it only takes about 60 seconds. So this is a very high quality bar, also made from essential oils from the Himalayas. So it's all natural. And, you know, it's a skincare multi-purpose bar. It also helps with psoriasis and eczema to help that irritation. So please use this bar as a multi-purpose bar. So get this bar for your medicine cabinet. You'll be amazed at the multiple use of that bar and the high quality of the bar. So with that, let's go to Live Now Fox. This is about the nuclear weapon sprint with Iran.
And we do begin this morning with a breaking news alert following the very latest. Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican out of South Carolina, warning, quote, the failure of President Biden and Vice President Harris could lead to Iran producing a nuclear weapon in the months ahead of the U.S. presidential election. Graham appearing on CBS Face the Nation, saying the Senate last week received a stunning report from the Director of National Intelligence about the status of the Iranian nuclear program. Well, joining us live this morning to further explain and discuss this breaking news alert is Deputy Director of the National Council of Resistance of Iran and author of The Iran Threat, Ali Reza Jafarzadeh. Good morning to you. A pleasure speaking with you here on Live Now.
Good morning, Jane. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So a lot to discuss. If you could, of course, give us the background. What brings us to this point? Senator Lindsey Graham saying this all stems from a Senate hearing last week.
Well, this is something that Senator Lindsey Graham brought before the media, before the Congress. But the world has been watching this whole situation over the past few years. I remember since 2002, I was actually August 14, 2002, when we revealed the nuclear sites of Iran in Natanz and Iraq, showing that Iran had a very sophisticated enrichment program and building fissile material. And that actually revelation triggered, for the first time, inspections of Iranian regime's nuclear sites by the UN nuclear watchdog known as the IAEA. It's been 22 years since then. And you would have expected that the world would put a stop on the advancement of the nuclear weapons program, which was in the early stages at the time. Unfortunately, what is on display is that the Iran regime has advanced its very sophisticated nuclear weapons program. They are building fissile material, which is, enriched uranium, way beyond the peaceful level, which they're supposed to, which is 3.67% enrichment. They are just a screwdriver's turn away from turning whatever they have into a weapons grade enriched uranium that would be fissile material at the core of the nuclear bomb. And then there is the weaponization part of the nuclear program of the Iran regime, which we revealed a lot of information about the different sites, different programs, different experts who were on top of it. unfortunately, none of those have been followed up by the outside world, by the IAEA, partly because the Iranian regime would not allow that, and partly because the outside world lost interest, or they, they figured maybe if they give the Iranian regime what they want, if they cool down, if they slow down their pressure on the Iran regime, the regime would abandon their nuclear weapons program. That hasn't been the case. They also have the delivery system, the advanced missiles that we revealed a lot of information about that. So combining all of those things gets you to where Senator Graham appeared before the media, before the U.S. Senate, expressing serious concerns about the development of nuclear weapons program of the Iran regime. Remember, the nuclear program of the regime since day one has always been about the weapons program, building the bomb. It's not about energy. It's not about nuclear energy. It has no peaceful nature whatsoever. It's controlled and run by the Iran regime's revolutionary guards and under the supervision of the supreme leader. And that's why I think we need to see, this is one of the reasons you need to see a change of policy regarding the Iran regime that would hold them accountable for what they're doing outside of Iran.
Oliver, there's so many great points you're making. And, we hear time and time again people say, well, we need to go in and dismantle this program. But what you just said, I think it starts with the policy change, because it's not as easy as just saying, okay, get rid of the program. And then people say, okay, we'll get rid of it.
Absolutely. The Iran regime just looks at the outside and just feels how much room they have for maneuver. They have, in addition to their nuclear weapons program, they have these proxies around the world that they fund, they train, and they use them when they need them in order to advance the policies of the Iran regime. And then they have these very same repressive systems, the very same revolutionary guards that is behind the nuclear program, that is behind the missile program, and behind the proxies. It's the same force that is suppressing the people of Iran. And over the past couple of years, there was some attention in the world to the uprisings in Iran that they thought that, well, this is something that we have been overlooking. But the regime manipulated the outside world, making them believe that they are in charge. And that's not the case. Since 2017, 2018, there have been 9 rounds of major uprisings in Iran, engulfing all 31 provinces of the country, over 280 cities. People have been calling for change. They want to bring down the Ayatollahs and establish democracy and freedom. The organized resistance that exposed all these nuclear sites.
This is why I keep on saying that the Obama and the Biden administrations gave them runway for nuclear development while Trump did not. And the Biden administration holding back Netanyahu allowed for Iran to also have runway developing nuclear capability. It is important to knock out the Ayatollah. It is important to knock out the nuclear capability of Iran and let the people of Iran have a democracy, not a theocracy. But you have people that are isolationists in the United States that don't want to intervene. And by not intervening, we now have potentially another nuclear player in the region. And that is an existential threat to Saudi Arabia. It's an existential threat to Jordan, and it's an existential threat to Israel. This cannot happen. So we have to make sure it doesn't happen. That means the Ayatollah needs to be totally destroyed. The theocracy of Iran needs to be totally obliterated. And the nuclear capability of Iran completely destroyed. Now, I don't think Israel can do it alone, but they shouldn't do it alone because there is an incentive for the United States to not have a nuclearized Iran. So sometimes you have to break eggs to make an omelet. And this appeasement or this isolationism that we're seeing in the news, or even in social media for the United States is not helpful, because it's just giving runway to the Iranians to go and have nuclear capability. And our options become less. The optionality of striking become less, because now you're dealing with the nuclear power. And I just like, everyone is just an idiot that's running the show. You got to find an issue, get to the root cause, and solve it. And if you just try to do it diplomatically and you're not gaining ground, then you need to go with force. A nuclearized Iran is unacceptable.
Once peace in the Middle East wants to abandon all of the terror network of the Iranian regime, has a 10-point platform that just got the support of over 4,000 parliamentarians around the world, including a House majority here in the United States from both sides of the aisle. So the solution exists on the ground. There is a desire on the part of the people of Iran to change the situation. There is an organized resistance to bring down the Ayatollahs. There is a platform for future that would be a non-nuclear republic form of a government. We just need to see Washington to see the realities on the ground and abandon, this mirage that somehow you can come into terms with the regime in Tehran and just, give them something that they would abandon their terrorism. It's never going to happen. And now is the time, whoever is going to be in the White House, to understand the realities on the ground and build their policy based on those realities.
Alireza, so the question for many this morning is what's next? Because as we discussed the U.S. presidential election, if we're being honest and candid this morning, there are already security concerns surrounding it. We just saw what happened at that campaign rally with former President Donald Trump. And then you add this into the discussion, the threat of nuclear weapons, that heightens the senses of viewers. And for many, it makes them worried and scared.
Well, I think the next step should be very clear for...
If you're worried about assassination attempts, CIA operations, and nuclear proliferation, and you can't go to sleep, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the Good Night Formula. You need 3 cycles of REM sleep a night. Why? For consolidation of memory, for a higher energy level when you wake up, and to detoxify your body. Most people don't realize that it's through sleeping, deep sleep and REM sleep, where you're detoxifying your body, especially the central nervous system. If you have chronic sleep deprivation, what will happen is you're going to have a buildup of toxins, and those cells aren't going to perform as well. And you age faster, and you won't be able to think as well. So please go to my store and get the Good Night Formula. Take it every day if you are having problems sleeping. It has tryptophan and melatonin and many other different minerals and vitamins in this. So get the Good Night Formula and get that well-rested sleep. Get into those 3 cycles of REM sleep so you can have better memory and you're detoxifying your body. Sleep is a major pillar of slowing down the aging process and boosting up your immune system. So please, if you aren't getting restful sleep, take the Good Night Formula and start on your path of detoxification and getting into a better good night's sleep. And you'll be able to concentrate more at work and at school or whatever. And when you're rested, you can solve problems better. And you won't be so razzled and frazzled by the ills of the day. Clarity factor, really important to take every day. Take it in the morning. Some people take it twice a day. To be able to focus at work, to be able to focus on school, and to just keep those dendritic connections on your neurons healthy. You'll be able to think faster. You're gonna have better memory. And you're gonna notice that your neural decline is slower compared to a peer group that's not doing this. So once you're getting your 60s and 70s, even in your 50s, you're going to start seeing that if you don't change lifestyle and do supplementation, that your neuronal health starts to decline. You can improve your neuronal health by taking supplements like Clarity Factor to allow you to focus and to get those neurons firing those neurotransmitters. It'll strengthen the neural network you have. You'll have better memory and you'll think faster. In addition, by changing your diet, you're improving your nutrients, making sure that your water's filtered, making sure that you're not eating processed foods, reducing your sugar intake. You're going to have better memory function, better neural health. In addition, some exercising, not a lot, but some exercising, cardio and weight training, some stretching, some balance exercises. These are all going to be beneficial for neuronal health. Why? Balancing and stretching is activating different parts of your brain and your cerebellum. Cardio is going to help with blood flow. And so you get better blood flow into the brain. And weight training is, helping with that skeletal muscle that a lot of people, that muscle starts to atrophy. It starts to atrophy actually in your 30s. So, but you really see the decline in your 50s, 60s, 70s. So it's really important to maintain skeletal muscle health. So, take these types of supplements and you'll be doing wonders. This is synergistic with a supplement that I offer, C60. C60 is a very strong antioxidant. So what this does is it slows down and neutralizes the free radicals in your cells and in your neurons. So this means that for your neurons, you'll have better mitochondrial health and you'll have less reactive oxygen species, free radicals. You'll have less free radicals in your neurons. That means the neuron is healthier. The mitochondria is healthier and it's producing ATP that allows for the neurotransmitters to be created and to be released. That means your memory is going to be better and your thinking is going to be better by taking the Clarity Factor and the C60. This is a very strong antioxidant. You can get it in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, or an 8 ounce configuration on my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Link is in the description. You get it in avocado oil, MCT coconut oil, or in extra virgin olive oil. Why is it in an oil form? Because C60 is lipid soluble. It's not water soluble. So you need to absorb it through an oil form. It's better to take it on an empty stomach for better absorption. You take a teaspoon of this a day. It's a very strong antioxidant. It's going to help with all the cells in your body, all right, to bring down those free radicals. But like I said, it's synergistic with certain things that are on my store that will help to boost up the process. This will help to slow down the aging and help to build up more energy. So please go to the store and get the C60 in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, or an 8 ounce configuration in avocado, coconut, or extra virgin olive oil. Take a teaspoon of this a day. It's extremely important. This is a major, major pillar of the anti-aging protocol and increasing your longevity, your vitality, boosting up your immune system. Lastly, bring down the inflammation. Right? You bring down inflammation by taking turmeric. It's also an antioxidant, but this will bring down those pro-inflammatory cytokines. And ashwagandha root will control the blood glucose levels and reduce that inflammatory response cardiovascularly. So these are synergistic. Please, it's all about stacking. You can't just take one thing and it's going to, do wonders for you. If you stack stuff, there is this synergistic additive aspect to improve your immune system, improve your energy, to improve your longevity. This is really important concept. It's about stacking these things. So please go to my store, get the turmeric and the ashwagandha to bring down that pro-inflammatory response. And you'll start to notice that you're not chronically inflamed. You'll have better energy. You're gonna notice that your skin's better, your digestion's better, your mood's better. You're gonna notice a lot of things when you take this on a regular basis. And there's that compound effect by bringing down those pro-inflammatory cytokines. Because chronic inflammation increases age. Chronic inflammation speeds up the aging process.
Right now, and also whoever is going to be in the White House, also in Europe, everywhere. It doesn't matter, the change of the faces of those who are at the helm as president in Iran. It makes no difference. They can call them whatever they want. The job of the president of the Iran regime is to implement the policies of the supreme leader. And the new president that just came in today said that his only mission is to implement the policies of the supreme leader. And what are those policies? Terrorism, nuclear weapons, missile program, killing their own population. So they have to understand that. So what they need to do is to build pressure on the Iran regime, hold them accountable. You don't want to ease sanctions. You don't want to give under any pretext money to the Iranian regime. The sanctions were eased over the past couple of years. In a matter of 3 months, 3-4 months, past 3-4 months, the Iran regime has made over $95 billion as oil revenue. This is happening at the time that the Iran regime, using their proxies, Houthis in the Red Sea, are causing problems for the commercial shipping that affects the lives and the livelihood of millions and millions of people around the world, including the United States. So you hold them accountable. You don't give them money. You don't ease sanctions. You want to bring back all of the sanctions that existed before when the United States left the JCPOA, put back the sanctions at the UN Security Council. You want to definitely go through that route. Second, you want to recognize the right of the people of Iran who want change. And I'm not just talking about intellectuals. It's a wide sector of the Iranian society in all over the country, different sectors who want regime change. You want to stand on their side. You want to recognize their right that they can and they should have the right to bring down the repressive regime. The same way change occurred in the United States 250 years ago, the people of Iran have the same right to do that. They have the right to confront the repressive Revolutionary Guards who are behind the bombing, behind terrorism, and behind repression in Iran. That hasn't happened. And if the United States does that, it will overnight change the equilibrium, change the equation. It will put the outside world in an offensive position against the Iranian regime, as opposed to being defensive, always trying to defend yourself against the terrorism and the warmongering of the Iran regime. It will also significantly help the people of Iran because they feel that they're not left alone. They feel that their sacrifices over the years is being supported. And that's why when members of Congress put out statements in support of the Iranian resistance, in support of the 10-point plan for the future of Iran, that was very important. But that kind of policy should come from the administrations and from the governments. And I hope whoever is going to be in the White House come January will take all of those things into consideration. Obviously, Congress has a major role to play in pushing things into that direction, but the ultimate decision are the administrations.
Ali Mirza, truly a pleasure speaking with you bright and early this morning. We appreciate your perspective and expertise on this topic. Before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add? I know you are privy to a lot of closed-door meetings, so is there anything myself and the viewers need to be aware of before we let you go?
Well, I think it's very important for the American public to understand that at the same time that there is a major threat coming from the Iran regime, at the same time, there is a solution that doesn't require putting boots on the ground, doesn't require appropriating money, doesn't require sending soldiers or anything like that. And that's very important because, you know, there's too much at stake. This is not a partisan issue. It's not about Republicans versus Democrats. The Ayatollahs don't care, you know, when they fire those missiles. They don't care when they're, you know, they send their drones and targeting. And they don't care when they, you know, they fund their proxies. They just want to hit the outside world, especially the Western nations, and keep themselves in power. That's why I think it's so important for the American public to focus on both the threat of the Iran regime, but look at the solution. They need to be very proactive in dealing with their members of Congress, reaching out to their senators, their House representatives, whatever party they are, highlight these things and remind them that the people of Iran want change. The people of Iran are actually the allies of the outside world, and all the United States need to do is to stand with them to recognize their right. And I think every American citizen can play a role.
Ali Reza, truly a pleasure. Thank you again for joining.
Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the D3 vitamin that I have. This is a gene expression cofactor, really important for different cellular processes, especially to do apoptosis, get a cell to go through apoptosis, definitely when a cell is infected. So this is why it's so important to take vitamin D3 when you're not feeling well. But you should be taking vitamin D3 every day. I take 10,000 units of this, all right? So I take two. This is 5,000 units, each soft gel. So I take one soft gel in the morning and another one in the evening, all right? I've been taking vitamin D3 for a long time. I mean, decades. And then in addition, this gene expression cofactor, it will help with cellular processes, but it will help to absorb calcium. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the vitamin D3. With that said, thank you for listening to the show. Make sure you subscribe to all my channels and share the links of my videos. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.